Hello, and welcome to Las Vegas Mortgage Minutes. I'm Leslie McGarry with Equity Prime Mortgage. We are a local lender that focuses on middle-income families achieving the American dream. We are here as proud sponsors of the Latin Chamber of Commerce. Today, I'd like to welcome my guest, Gene Haffey with Horizon Realty.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Welcome, Gene. Would you like to tell our viewers a little bit about yourself?
I've been in Las Vegas since 2004, and been licensed agent since 2004. I've seen the ups and downs and the growth of the city. I'm proud to say that I'm a resident now, and I'm really excited about everything going on with the city.
Fantastic. So Gene, I wanted to ask you, you've kind of seen the market change and ebb and flow. What do you think about the new sports teams coming to Las Vegas? How's that going to affect our market?
Well, I think it's just, the sports teams, in addition to everything else going on, is all positive, and it's great for our city, and that translates to being good for our market. I don't really think that that's going to drastically increase people's value in their homes, but it's great for our economy, and anytime you have a strong economy, you have a strong housing market.
Okay. I happen to agree with you on that. I think that it's great to find this big little city growing up, and we're finally becoming what will be nationally recognized on the map. Now, you've seen over the last probably 3 to 6 months a dynamic change in the amount of houses available on the market. People saying things like it's a seller's market, it's a buyer's market. What do you say? Is there ever a really good real estate time to buy or sell your home?
It's funny you asked that. I was just meeting with several agents the other day, a couple big agents in town, and we try to connect and go over what we feel where the market's at. And so what we've seen is, we've had such highs and lows in our market for, since 2004, basically, correct? Yeah. So we've seen the highs, we've seen the lows. Where I see it now, where we've kind of transitioned to over the last several months, is the market is starting to correct, which we needed. So we were so low and we had big jumps. So I have seen a correction. I think that was needed because we were starting to get a little out of control again, and affordability wise for everybody. And so what that translates into, long and short of it, is I still believe it is a very solid seller market still because of the lack of inventory,
right.
But it's also still a good time to buy. And in my opinion, it's always a good time to buy. People try to time the markets. We don't have crystal balls. No one does, right? So right. Markets do. They kind of fluctuate a little bit. But right now, I believe that we're in a solid market, and I think it's good for both because right now the rates are still so low. So it's a great time for buyers as well. Take advantage of that. They're all-time low. So
it's funny that you talk about the rates because obviously for what I do for a living, I hear all the time, oh wow, the rates are going up, the rates are going up. We're historically still lower than our parents or our grandparents were, and I always say that people are still going to buy. So whether or not it's interest rates on a house, you're going to have to pay rent, and with rents increasing, I always try to tell people, it's one or the other. You're gonna pay it in some way, shape, or form, right? So, speaking on the different things that we're hearing on the news, what do you think about this quote unquote we're in our housing bubble again?
I don't believe that. I don't believe we're in a housing bubble. Like I said, I have seen the market correct, which I think it needed to. Prices were starting to climb a little too much. Sellers were listing at ridiculous prices, way over market, and people were paying it, because of the lack of inventory and the amount of growth we've had in our city and people needing housing. Because also it's translated from, like you said, to the rental market. Our rental market is drastically increased with the prices. Yeah. So for the most part, and more often than not, people can get into a home and purchase one for less than they would be paying rent.
So do you think what we've seen over the last 3 to 6 months, do you think it's been a false injection of fear into the market of, there's not going to be a house and I need to get into it now? And so do you think buyers were being falsely taken advantage of in a way of paying over market value for a house? Well,
I think there's a lot of different factors that have gone into where our market's at, and there always going to be, right? Obviously, your specialty is the lending side. Mm-hmm. I do know about the lending side too. I did have some experience in that, but I think what a lot of things that have happened with that is, don't know if it's necessarily fear the media is always going to do their little things and
Yeah.
say what they're going to say. I don't think it's a lot of fear. I think it is a lot of maybe a little apprehension of where the market's going. And then also there was frustration. A lot of buyers were frustrated because they couldn't get into the homes because of multiple offers, being beat out on things. And there was a lot of factors to that. I mean, you can speak on this. There is still a lot of great loan programs right now, but
Yes.
some have gone away too.
Yeah.
So when some of those loan programs went away with some of the assistance and things of that nature, it did kind of slow the market down a little bit. But those programs are still out there, and
I
there's
think those
also
programs are definitely.
yeah, and I mean, and if you're a buyer right now, take advantage of those. I mean, and that's why I'm saying it's still a great time to buy. I think it's more of an even market now than it has been the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It's still great for sellers though, so call me up. I'll be willing to list your home. But at the same point too, I think it's still a good time for buyers.
Now, we're hearing on the news, and I'm not sure of the exact statistics, but the amount of people that will be coming into Las Vegas, not only with the sports teams, but with the new industry, with manufacturing. We've got Switch, we've got Tesla, we've got rural parts of Las Vegas. Do you really feel that there is a shortage of homes, or is there a shortage of resale?
Well, I don't believe there is kind of in somewhat a shortage of homes, but it's more on the resale side, obviously. The builders are still building again with more numbers than they have in several past years.
Yeah.
So, the new home is a place where people can go. A lot of people were kind of going there, kind of getting away from the resale market because they were frustrated. They were frustrated in the resale market because of the lack of inventory. But at the end of the day, part of it is how your agent is structuring your offer. A lot of that, and there's different ways to get offers accepted without overpaying or I see this every day. I mean, I see some ridiculous offers coming across my desk.
Oh, I'm
and
sure.
I look at these as on the other side representing the seller, and I'm like, man, I just can't believe this agent's putting this offer for this buyer. It's, but there's ways to structure the offers, what I'm saying, and ways for buyers to get into homes. And I think, like I said, I mean, there was some apprehension about where our market was, but I think there was a lot of frustration as well.
So, obviously, I'm gonna bring out the big question now. I want to hear what your take is on the disturbers in the market right now. The Opendoor, the OfferPad, the I'm going to do it with no real estate agent.
Yeah.
I want to hear, from a professional standpoint, what's your take on that?
Well, there's old adages, right? You get what you pay for. Nothing's as good as it. Things aren't as good as it sounds. Those are applied to the Opendoors and the agencies that are trying to basically try to bypass having real estate professionals helping people. At the end of the day, my job, and I have a passion for this. This is my career. I don't do it part time. I've been doing it for 14 years here in Vegas. I did a couple years prior to that in California. But I have a love for people, and I enjoy it. So I'm not, I'm in it to make money. It's my career.
Right.
But I have a passion for it, and there's nothing better when I put people into a home and I have them come after. And I've had people cry at closings when I give them keys and say thank you. And
Best feeling in the world.
Oh, it's awesome. And the thing about it too is that most of my clients, I would say 90% of my clients, become my personal friends.
Yes.
And it's a relationship.
It's a relationship.
And to me, that's what it is. It's a business, but it's also, I enjoy it.
Right.
And so, I have a passion for it. So that's.
So you don't find that these fly-by-night companies are a threat to us as professionals in the market?
Hey, look, we've, as you've been in the business a long time too. Mm-hmm. We've seen everything, right?
I mean, I'm 12, Kane.
Yeah, exactly. I just had my 21st birthday last night. But, no, it's, we've always had disturbers, right? And so these are the new ones that are coming about. You have them on your side.
Yeah.
You have the Rocket Mortgages and all these other things, and they tease these online rates that never seem to be. They're not local lenders. So you have the same disturbers, but Opendoor, I can tell you, and I don't like to disparage anybody.
Right.
I don't disparage
Absolutely.
other agents or whatever, but I will tell you, it's always not what it seems to be. They submit their initial offer, and you hear their commercials. Oh, choose what you want and do this and that. It's not like that. They dictate all the terms, and I would say 75 to 80% of the time, their offers change from their initial offer. And there's a lot of fees attached to that they don't disclose or they don't
Right.
talk about in their commercials. So
Right.
their fees are the same as regular real estate transactions. So it's really not changing anything.
And it's not
they're
a
just basically-
relationship.
It's not a relationship, but also it's not them. Open Doors in it to make money.
Absolutely.
All these other companies are. These aren't companies. These aren't nonprofit companies
Right.
that are just helping people.
Right,
So
right.
they're in it to make money, and that's the
Right.
bottom line. But they're in it to make money for themselves and not give you the proper representation that you should have.
And I think that's a key to what we do as professionals. Is we're there to hold the hand all the way through, from our first-time home buyers through our fifth and sixth purchasers on their transactions. I think that building that relationship and building that friendship is important. It's one of the things that brought me to bring you on as my guest today. You are very passionate and involved in VAREP.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to touch on, number one, tell us a little bit about what VAREP is and what brought you to get involved in that and your community involvement.
Well, yeah, VAREP. I mean, obviously, it's a organization that for veterans and trying to get veterans in housing, but also do just a lot of great fundraising events. But last year gave a veteran family a home. Brand new homes. So, there's a lot of things that the organization does, and I feel strongly about. My wife is an ex-Marine. I come from a.
She's a little firecracker.
Yes, she definitely is.
She is.
But I come from a family with my grandfathers both served, and so I just feel passionate about it. It's another thing that I feel strongly about. As much sacrifice as the veterans have done for us, it's the very least we can do for them.
Absolutely.
And so that's basically the bottom line with it. And with not just with the veterans, but I going back to the Open Door thing and all these other things that they're not giving representation to the clients, but also too I have a lot of programs that I offer as far as buyer rebate programs, concessions that I will make to help people to facilitate deals.
Because it's a relationship.
Yeah, and if Open Door does something and they come back with their inspection and they change their offer $20,000, which happens, they're not going to make any concession for that closing.
Right.
Which I will do if I need to or if I can help somebody out. So. It goes back, like at the end of the day, it's, we should all be here helping each other.
Absolutely.
I think our whole society's got away from that. So, if we cared about each other and just a little bit more, I think we'd start going in a better direction.
And I love that the initiative behind VAREP, not only is it the organization for veteran real estate professionals, but what they give back to this community is incredible.
We had a fundraiser just recently. It was great.
Which one was that?
It was the one over at Stoney's a couple weeks back.
Oh, the Comedy for a Cause,
Comedy
right?
for a Cause, yeah. And it was a fabulous, fun event. And these are events that are open to everybody. You don't have to be part of the organization to attend the event. You don't have to be a real estate professional to attend the event. So
the one that drew me to the organization was the Christmas.
Yep.
I can't remember the exact name, but you guys have a...
Yeah, and I'm drawing a blank on it now too. But it's just another way.
Operation Santa Claus.
Santa Claus, yeah. And then we've had there was a biker poker run and all these different things. But they're all things that are initiated to give back to the public,
right?
And the veterans. So.
And I think there's a common misconception in society of what people like you and I do for a living. I'm the same as you. This is my profession. I've been doing it a very long time. I'm very good and thorough with what I do. I wouldn't issue a pre-approval letter and send a family out to go look at a home unless I knew that they were going to get their keys, right? Yeah. But part of what we do obviously is our passion for people, our passion for this community, how we give back. And so VAREP, I felt, was such a unique organization, not just because of the veterans, but because it's involving our profession along with the veterans. You guys lobbied some really great bills. I was really quite happy when I got the notice over that you guys succeeded in Washington, D.C. with the VA Earls, because we have to protect our veterans.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, hey, they looked out for us, so we can look out for them, right?
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
I don't think they're not looked out after enough. So
I agree with you.
it is, and honestly, if it's a great organization, I encourage everybody to look it up and and participate in the events, because you don't, like I said, once again, you don't have to be a veteran, you don't have to be a real estate professional to participate in the events or attend the events. They're great. They give back to the
and
community.
they're so much fun.
Yeah, and we try to do that too. We try to make them fun, and so it's a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely, I love that. And I was going to touch on.
And it's actually because nonprofits a lot of times are for-profit.
Yeah,
this goes back to.
It actually does go back. So I was out of town, but I wasn't able to attend the. Where you gave the home away, and that was I watched it on the website. It was such a moving event.
Brings people to tears.
Absolutely, for sure. I wanted to also congratulate you. I saw in your office today that you are one of 2018 My Vegas Top 100 Real Estate Men. So congratulations on that. Obviously, that comes with a lot of hard work, dedication to your clients and the community. Again, why I wanted you to be my guest, because I feel that your initiative, you're still a smaller brokerage. You're very ingrained in the community, very mom and pop, and I feel like that's gone away so much across the nation that I feel like we need to, as a community, support each other in our endeavors, and the smaller shops are really where the heart is and keeps the city going. So Gene, we hear on the news all the time about the amount of people moving here from other states, and what would you say to somebody that's moving here from California, and let's say Pahrump is a great alternative for them to find affordable housing right now? What would you say to combat their ease with the traffic situation?
The transporting back to here from Pahrump, or what was it? What's the exact question? Or are you talking about the traffic as a city? You know
how people are talking about now, all these people moving in from California. What's the statistic? How many people are moving in?
A while back, one of the last census reports I saw is I did see there was an average of like 127 people per day moving here, and I think that's increased. That's a little outdated statistic. So.
I love people that move to Las Vegas.
Yeah. Well, think about it. I'm in California. I grew up in California, born and raised, and I don't miss it, to be honest with you. I still have a lot of family there, so I do go back and forth sometimes. And you talk about traffic. You get really spoiled when you're out here.
Yeah.
I live in Summerlin. My office is in Summerlin. And when I have to go to Henderson now, I go, man, I got to go to Henderson for an appointment. I get there 25 minutes.
So that's kind of what I was.
With a little bit of slowage at the with the spaghetti bowl and everything going on, and it's funny because when I grew up in Venice, Santa Monica, and now whole West LA area,
Monica.
I can't go 10 blocks in a half hour. So and when I go back there, I realize why. You
moved to Las Vegas, right?
Yeah, so that's a big part of it. A lot of people are coming here from California, but all over the country because. Obviously the growth of our city, everything we have going on here, and back to what we were talking about earlier, it's not just the sports teams. I mean, the sports teams are great.
Oh, there's so much.
I'm a huge sports fan.
Yeah.
I went to the Knights games in the playoff. It was the best experience I've ever been.
So much fun.
Sport. Yeah, it was a blast. But it's all the other businesses that you referenced. Small business owners now are starting to pop up more and more in our community, which is great. You know, it's great for people, the small business owners, to pop up. And so it's just the entire growth of our city. And I think everyone's really excited, and it feels good,
Absolutely.
When you're a part of, and then when you get in and you're a part of that growth, you feel like you're doing something with the community as well, and you're growing with it.
And that's
especially
really,
for younger families.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm such a big part of the Latin Chamber, because it's comprised of so many small business owners. And one of the things that I like to get across is for a business owner with 100 or less employees, the cost of bringing an employee in and training them, especially if they've come from another state, the cost of bringing them in and training them is astronomical for a small business owner, especially if they leave within the first year.
Yes.
And so I try to really hone in on the small business owners and getting their employees, their transplant employees especially, into a home as soon as they can, because there's some adapting that goes on moving to Las Vegas. I'm very ingrained here. I've been here for 34 years, so Vegas is my home. But for somebody that's moved here, let's say from the Midwest, right? The quicker that we can get them into a home, the more stable they become at their job, in their community. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, you know, they can put their roots down. You know, they can, you know, and they can feel once again that they're a part of the community, they're a part of the growth. You know, you mentioned families coming from California. I mean, and California is a huge part of our influx of our population, but it's all over the country. And what it is too is you got to understand that, you know, Vegas, while our house affordability has, you know, risen a little bit, rents are rising, obviously. You know, it's still, as far as a cost of living, is much less than a Los Angeles or California, period, not just Los Angeles. And so small families or younger families are the ones that are coming out here for the most part, because what they can have here, their quality of life out here is
so what is the
way better than what it can be over there.
What's the median price of a home right now?
We're right around, I mean, when you look at the whole Vegas Valley, it's like $292,000 is kind of where we're at.
Which is so crazy, because if you listen to the frenzy in the media and they talk about how we have no affordable housing. Okay, so I know affordable housing is a hot topic right now, especially for the outer skirts of Las Vegas, but $290,000 relatively across the nation, I think, would be still considered affordable, right?
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, 292,000, and we keep referencing California, but reference anywhere else. So, you know, there's East Coast cities. I mean, that's a cracker box.
And I think, I think that people forget, without the state tax, and we have a cap on our property taxes here, 290,000 is a reasonable price to pay for a home.
1,000%. Our property taxes are one of the lower in the whole nation.
Yeah.
So that's actually great for people. And one thing I tell my clients, and you know, you can probably piggyback on this because you deal with this all the time when you're talking about the lending side, is I tell my clients, look, you're not living in the price, you're living in the payment. So if you're comfortable with the payment,
right,
and it makes sense for you and your family, then that's what you need to worry about.
Right.
You know? And there's people all the time, they qualify for a much higher amount, and I know you walk them through this, and that's what I tell them. I say, hey, you might qualify for this, but are you comfortable with that?
Are you comfortable?
And that's
I like to work backwards. I like to say, what are you comfortable paying, and work it backwards from there, because, you know, what they're comfortable paying and what they see out there in the market that they fall in love with are two different things. 100%. So I like reality to be real before they get in the car with a real estate agent and start looking at something.
And that's one of the reasons why I appreciate you, and you know, you're a partner, because I know that you do that. You know, and at the end of the day, I don't want to put anybody in a home that they're not going to be comfortable
right.
in, because they're not going to enjoy it, and they're going to regret it, and then resent, right? So, you know, I talk to people, and part of our job as agents, being a professional, is educating. You know, at the end of the day, it's the client's choice, and I'm gonna whatever their wishes are, you know, I'm gonna try to make happen for them. But I do try to educate them through the process. You know.
Now, if you're talking to a customer now that is thinking of selling and moving up, are there a lot of homes out there that still offer a decent sized lot, a nice backyard, multiple bedrooms, or are they still, you know, going to be more of on a waiting list, waiting for the market to turn a little bit?
No, I mean, that's a huge part of our market is the move up buyer, you know, because of where the market was so low, you know, and then all of a sudden they have equity. A lot of people didn't have equity for a while, right?
Right.
Then we did have the jumps. So the jumps were good for a lot of people.
Right.
And a lot of those people now are taking advantage of the equity they have in their homes, and they are moving up to you know, bigger homes, you know. But once again, it's got to make sense.
So you went through the crash the same as I did, right? I mean, we were in the heyday, and we were doing more transactions than we could get off of our desk at a time. And you know, a lot of people chose to lose their home, and a lot of people chose not to lose their home, right? But the end result was Vegas was a very, very hard hit city.
100%.
But for me, I kind of keep things always in perspective, and I look at. I remember what the rents went to back in 2008, 2009, when investors were able to come in and swoop up these homes, and they were still charging $1,300, $1,400 for rent. Do you feel like we've got a handle on the amount of investors in the city right now? Do you feel like we've got a good mix of real home owners and investors, or do you feel like the investors have a bigger cut in the market right now?
No, I mean, I think it works both ways. I think that, you know, we did have a huge influx of investors coming in just because of where the prices were. But right now, I feel that, you know, prices now have kind of made it more even for the the homeowner, the owner occupied buyers.
Yeah.
I do believe that we still have our investors, and we're always going to. I mean, it's still a city that people want to invest in. And
in comparison,
makes
though,
sense.
if you look at this, let's just talk about this year. What has the increase in housing values compared to the increase in rent? Do you know what the percentages are about?
Off the top of my head, I don't. To be honest with you, I feel sorry I don't have that information off the top. But the increase in rent, I know that rents, I would say rents have increased 20-25%, from year over year.
And what do you feel like going into the last quarter of this year? Yeah.
And where our housing market is increased, we had about a 15%, and all predictions are for next year, and that's what I was talking about. We are seeing a correction and a stabilization of the market, which I think is great. And it goes back to your bubble question. Next year, they're predicting probably around a 7%-ish.
Okay. And
that's a great number.
That's a great number.
That's where we want to be. That's a healthy market. It's a good market,
So you mentioned healthy market. So for you, I know that there's an average of homes on the market that people would come back and say, well, now we're in a healthy market. I've watched the numbers as well as you do. Are we back to a healthy market, or are we still?
Yeah, I think we're getting right there. Like I said, the correction was needed, and I think we've seen that. And I think that's where we're going to kind of be. And like I said, I don't have a crystal ball, but what I've foreseen, what I hope, is that we kind of just ride this kind of stable plane for a while.
Yeah. I think it's really great for people relocating to Las Vegas. I think that what they can get bang for their buck, and obviously working with a professional, and I like to call myself a concierge, right? So if you move to Las Vegas and you need to know where to get your hair done or your nails or where the best coffee, the best spots to eat, I want to be that partner with my clients, as I know you do as well.
Yep.
And I think it's really important as we are out there in the community and we're sitting on the different organizations and the boards that, we have to continue to remind our colleagues that we all got into this for the right reasons. We need to stay in this for the right reasons. And this is all about the end result, which is our clients, right? And building that relationship and helping our clients get acclimated, because this is our city, right?
Yep.
I mean,
Well, and that's exactly how I feel. I mean, we're, as professionals, we should all be in it together and for the right reasons and for our community. I mean, this is where we talked about putting your roots down. I've put my roots down here. I'm not going anywhere. I own my company, and so I'm invested in the city, and I love when other people are too, and I love people to be passionate about it. I've raised 3 kids here. My oldest is 20, and my youngest is 6. So
I know,
call me crazy.
Crazy,
but,
right?
But like I said, I mean, I want the city to be a positive place for them too.
Right.
So like I said, if we can, the more home ownership makes the city better. Like you said, so supporting the small businesses, I'm all about that. So.
And that's why I love that these teams have come in and we've stood behind them. I mean, I went to all the Las Vegas Lights games, the soccer, and to watch them be sold out, and the fireworks and the fun and the excitement. And now the kids that are like your youngest will never remember the city without a team.
Yep.
And I think it's fantastic that we have something to stand behind and we can rally together and to watch the teams come out and support different organizations and really give back to the city is really fantastic. I'm so excited that the Raiders are coming, and so I said, I don't need to be a bandwagon jumper because I'm a Vegas native, right?
Exactly.
So this is my city.
People gave me a hard time because of growing up in LA, and I wasn't ever a huge hockey fan. I did watch it. I knew about the sport and everything, but I had friends gave me a hard time because they're like, "Well, you're not a Kings fan anymore. You're a Knights fan." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I live in Las Vegas." So
right? I mean,
I'm supporting the Knights.
Absolutely, I'm there with you.
My 6-year-old son loves it. He, and that's another thing that's another example of the positive things for the city. The Knights were great, and the training facility they have up in Summerlin is fantastic. My son's in a hockey program there. 6 years old. He's playing hockey and he's loving it.
It's amazing.
And then part of the agreement was the next one's coming up in Henderson. There'll be another same facility like the City National over in Summerlin. So those are all parts of the things that these teams have to do when they come to the city. So that's again making the city a better place.
I love that.
The Raiders are going to be doing the same thing.
How many people did they?
And to touch real quick, not to interrupt you, because I want to comment on this. You were talking about going to the Lights games.
Yeah.
I went to a WNBA game.
Yeah.
And had a blast.
They're amazing.
I'd never been to one before in my life.
So I volunteer with a couple different organizations, and they're the PR lady for the women's basketball. she was phenomenal. She came in and she spoke to 300 kids. It's such a amazing feedback, and it's so great to see people. I mean, literally, she's been here for 6 months. And she loves the city. She talks about Las Vegas like she's been here for 15 years.
It was another great environment, and I would have never thought it. I mean, I would have never, I had never gone to a WNBA game, and I went, and it was, once again, it was great.
I love it.
Yeah.
I know. I talked to her about the ticket prices, because they're so affordable for families, and look, I always like to go back to people complain about the price of the tickets for nights, or the price. Have a house party.
Yeah.
Like, do something for your neighborhood. Bring, we are so used to having things delivered to our door and have it at the snap of our fingers that we've become a community of one, and we need to start getting back out there in our real communities, knowing our neighbors, and I think a lot of what's been brought in, and I hate to keep going back to the sports teams, but it really has brought some sense of community to us.
100%. Yeah, whether you're a sports fan or not, it brings people together. And most of the time brings people together in a positive way. So, I mean, it's only good for our city.
I love that. So, Jean, I want to thank you again for being my guest today. Your insight is fantastic. I love working with true professionals. You absolutely are one of those. I'm so honored to be part of your endeavors, and congratulations again on Top 100 Real Estate. So if you'd like to tell the listeners a way to contact you, and I want to thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Anytime, I'll be more than welcome to come back. I'd like to thank the Latin Chamber of Commerce as well for having us and putting the show on. And you can reach me. My direct line marketing number is 702-496-5000. That is a number you can reach, and someone answers that all the time. You can ask for me directly or any of my staff. Horizon Realty Group is the name of my company. Happy Home Team is the name of my personal team that I operate. And if you want to do any live searches for buyers, I have a website. It's searchhomesinlasvegas.info, and that's a live MLS search for any buyers. They can go on there, and it's better than the Zillows, and not to disparage or anything, because it is a live MLS feed that's updated to the, so you're not going to be looking at houses that have gone into contract 3 months ago. So. Right. But, feel free to reach me. I'd love to talk to anybody. Thank you for joining us with Las Vegas Mortgage Minutes. This is Leslie McGarry with Equity Prime Mortgage. I'd like to thank my guest, Jean Haffey, for coming in today and giving us some insider information on the Las Vegas market. You can tune in again. We will be back again next month.